And welcome back to Sports the Nemo Way, the Bob Cousy episode. The 6'1", 175-pound point guard who is a 6-time champ, 1-time MVP, a 13-time All-Star, 12-time All-NBA, playing 14 years in the league after being drafted with the 4th overall pick, and he is a Hall of Famer with career averages of 18, 5, and 7 on 37% shooting. And I didn't ask before the episode who I was going to first. So what order do we even have him in?
I have him number 10 on my point guard list, 43 on my overall list.
Let's see, I have him at numero dos on the point guard list and number 11 overall.
Well, I'm going to say Ray has him the highest.
I think so, yeah.
I have him at number 8 on point guard and number 38 on overall.
I also have him at 38, Drew. Nice.
All right.
Did you say he's number 11 on your list?
Yeah.
Intriguing.
And I have him at 8. So I have him at 8 and 38.
Just like me.
Just like Drew. That's crazy.
That's 2 episodes in a row. Was it last episode me and you had someone at 6 and 26?
Yeah, that was you and I.
And Wade has left him off his list altogether. So
And you didn't forget him, right?
No, he's not on there on purpose.
So I guess I'm Wade or Ray.
I don't care.
I'll go. Okay.
Okay. So you have him 11?
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
So number 2 point guard
Yep.
behind, I presume, Magic.
Right.
Wow.
And you're number 11 overall. All right. Take us away, Ray.
All right. And obviously, I did not grow up in the 50s or 60s. I mean, obviously. But he was a modern-day player that played in the 50s and 60s. His style of play was unorthodox for the era. That made him a pioneer and a trendsetter for the game and the position. We talk about every episode. Can a player translate to every era? This man, without a doubt, would rock it in every era. He would be a superstar in every era. He's an 8-time assist champ, like we just went over. 6-time NBA champ. 56, 57 MVP. 20th in assists. 21st in assists per game. I think his accolades speak for himself, and that's why Bob Cousy is on my list.
Fair enough, Ray. And Uncle Doug, where'd you say you had him at?
Number 10 on my point guard list and 43 overall.
All right, so I guess Drew. You have him at 38.
I do.
And 8 on your point guard list. So why did Cousy fall there for you?
Well, obviously he has 6 titles, so we're going to put that out there. He does have an MVP, so that's pretty good, I would say. His assist totals were pretty good for back in the day for all that, because, with all that not very good set shooting and all that, I mean, most of the time it didn't go in, so it's probably maybe a little bit harder to get assists. And like Ray said, his style of play was not well known back then, I would say. That's all I got for the opening statement.
All right. So that's to me, who also has him at 38 and 8th on his point guard list. I think at least on the surface case for Bob Cousy is that he was, I guess for lack of a better term, he's the original great point guard. And I guess what we talked about in the Mikan episode, where he changed the game and brought a bunch of new things to the game that had never been seen before. He's an innovator, I guess is a good way to put it. And just for those of you that are waiting, Bob Cousy's stats have not been adjusted on the site that I go to for pace adjustion, so I don't have those. But I'll just leave my opening statement at that. So, Uncle Doug?
Yeah. I mean, 13-time All-Star, 12-time All-NBA, 6 championships, an MVP. I think he had to be on the list. And I agree that I think he could translate. He was a great ball handler. He had big hands. He did some amazing things for his time period. Now, today, I think he could play. I think he'd be all right. I don't think he'd be as good today as he was back then. But I definitely liked what he did. I liked his stats. You put he and Russell together, and they racked up some championships. He made the NBA 25th, 35th, and 50th teams. He one of the things that I didn't realize about him till I started doing this research was 8-time assist champ, but it was 8 in a row. Yeah. He was the assist champ 8 years in a row. Definitely pretty amazing.
And I just read that during those 8 years that he led the league in assists, 2 of those years he finished second in the league in points, and he was top 10 in points all 8 years. So he wasn't just like the assist guy; he was also one of the best scorers in the league at the same time. So, and he did retire. He retired as the all-time assist leader, and he had almost 3,000 more assists than the guy that was in second place all time. All right. So is that identical, Doug?
Yep.
All right. So I guess that leads us to the list lever offer, and Wade. So Wade, what you got for us, bud?
I mean, I'll give you. He was the pioneer, and was the first great point guard. That's probably about all I'm going to give you. We said, I mean, yeah. If I had to bet $100 who would win 1-on-1, Bob Cousy and Drew, I'd take Drew. I don't think Bob Cousy. I think he'd be in by 11-2. I don't think he's any good. Yeah, I think he sucks. His team kept winning when he quit. Yeah, he just didn't impress me one bit. I mean, I don't know. I looked at his MVP season. He definitely wasn't the best player. Your boys are both better than him, Arzen and Bob Pettit by quite a bit. Even Dolph Shays was better than him that year. It's just yeah, he was a Celtic. He won some championships. Sorry, I'm having trouble talking and breathing right now. I got some stuff caught in my throat. Yeah, he sucks, but I'm pretty much just done.
So the MVP was 56-57. Could we look up real quick what the other guy's stats were? Because I didn't get that
I'll look
done.
up Bob Pettit.
Pettit was like 24 and 14. Horizon, I don't remember. He was above 20 points and like 7 rebounds and a couple assists. Dolph Shays was the closest one to Cousy. You could argue the Bob Cousy comparison. But again, Bob Cousy shot like 37%. Pettit and I think Arzen were low 40s, and Dolph Shays I think was around 37% as well.
You say 56-57 season?
I think,
Yes, that's when he won the MVP.
unless I looked up the wrong year.
Well, we've done that comparison a couple times now about who finished first and second in MVP.
Arizon had 25 points, 2 assists, and 7 rebounds.
7 boards. Yeah.
And he led the league in scoring that year.
25, 7, and 2 for Arizon.
Mm-hmm. And was it Cousy was like 24 and 7?
24 and 7. Yeah, that's his numbers. Yep.
Okay.
Pettit was 24, 14, and 2. And Dolph Shays was 22, 12, and 2.
I believe they all outshot him on field goal percentage. Dolph Shays was almost identical, I believe, and the other 2 outshot him by a little bit. And 2 of them might have outshot him on free throws. Or maybe just one of them. I can't remember.
That's pretty interesting looking at the numbers from.
Yeah.
I did not look that up when I saw his MVP,
But he's a Celtic, so he's going to win it.
Well, we've discussed before, how many guys made the Hall of Fame from some of those Celtic teams. That there was definitely. I mean, you win that many titles, people know the players, and they, I'm not taking away from Cousy because obviously Cousy's on my list, and I still have him on my list. But that is interesting.
What year was the first year they won?
It's when Russell came in, I think.
Right. Yeah, they didn't win until Russell got there.
Right. And Cousy played
right
several years without him.
They won the title in 56-57 because I just looked.
Okay.
So I didn't know if that was the first one because Russell was close to. I didn't think he played that far into the 50s.
Right.
Russell, I mean.
Cousy came in what, 50?
50, yeah.
That's when he was drafted. And I don't remember when Russell came in.
Oh, we're going to look here. They did not win the championship in 55-56. So I'm going to assume Russell wasn't there. No, Russell was not there. So the year that Cousy won the MVP was Russell's rookie year, and they won the championship. They had the best record in the NBA.
I think Russell was top 10 MVP voting in his rookie year that year too. I think he's in that little list I looked up on Basketball Reference. He's in the little list of names.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know the instance. I didn't look this up either. I wasn't when I just saw that he won an MVP and kind of moved on.
Yeah, me too.
I don't. But I do. In today's NBA, how good your team is a lot of times has to do with the MVP voting.
Your team normally has to at least make the playoffs for you to get MVP.
Now, I don't know what the rest of those guys we just talked about teams did that year. I have no idea. They might have all been really good as well. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But just something that came to my mind.
I mean, but if like Durant stays on the Warriors instead of going to the Nets and they win 7 or 8 championships in a row, they're not going to give the MVP to Curry and Durant every year, rotate back and forth.
No.
That's what they did in the 50s and 60s. I guess it was Cousy, Russell, and Wilt and Cousy.
Yeah, I mean, Cousy got one, and then Russell and Wilt won a whole bunch, and Robertson got one. I mean, that's literally...
Pettit got one.
Yeah, Pettit got one. Yeah, I mean, it was... I don't know. It was a weird time. I mean, I can't explain all the MVPs because I don't know. But...
Well, we already kind of talked about the MVPs back then when Elgin Baylor. We looked at that episode, how he should have won a couple, and he got screwed.
Yeah, I don't know because like we also talked about how West didn't have any.
Yeah.
Right. This is back when the players voted on it.
Well, yeah, we talked about Rick Barry barely got his, but everyone hated him.
Yeah. So then we talked about on the West episode how he was the most beloved player in the league.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But he couldn't win an MVP. I don't know. I guess what I'm saying. I guess I'm talking through it out loud, but I guess I'm saying I really don't know. It doesn't add up. I guess.
It's
Yeah.
the MVPs are.
We don't have an answer to it because
even the MVP today is still. We wonder about it sometimes.
yeah, there's a couple of years you wonder, but
Derrick Rose.
Yeah.
You don't like the Derrick Rose MVP?
No, I don't. Because I mean, just look at it statistically. You can do the same thing to Derrick Rose year you just did right here. I mean, not only did LeBron have better numbers, Dwight had better numbers. I'm sure there's a couple other guys I'm forgetting had better numbers than him that year. They were the best team in the league, and he was the best player on it, so he got the MVP.
Well, and
I think they had LeBron MVP fatigue too. That probably factored in. So he'd won a handful at that point, I believe.
yeah, and it was somebody new.
I did read that they were crediting Cousy with inventing behind the back passes, behind the back dribble, and the spin move. I don't know anything but further than that, but I did read that in a couple places, which I thought was pretty cool. Yeah.
I don't know. I was having trouble talking in my opening statements. I had something kind of caught in my throat, so I couldn't elaborate very much. But
You just said he sucked.
yeah,
And that I could beat him 11-2.
yeah. I was struggling to talk. I was trying to not cough really loud in the microphone and clear my throat. But one of the things I briefly hit on, I mean, yes, he's a champion, but then he retires and the team keeps on winning without him, which I don't really think is that great of a sign. If okay, yes, you won a bunch of championships and then you retired and your team won like 5 more. That's kind of a eh. I mean, were you that important if they win 5 more right after you leave? And it's not like it's 1 more, it's 5 more. I mean, that's kind of a bad sign, I'd say. Not saying that he wasn't good or wasn't factoring in on the team, but that's kind of a big bugaboo in my eyes if you leave and your team wins 5 more championships in a row.
It's I think that's a. I don't think it's a bad point. I think it's hard to wrap my head around because they won 11, and
Yeah.
it's like, well, he won 6, and like you said, they won 5 more after that. But I don't know. Like,
So who took over for Cousy when he retired? Was it Casey Jones?
yeah, they moved Casey Jones in the starting lineup after he
Okay.
left. So you had both Joneses,
Havlicek,
Russell.
Russell.
Heinsohn was there for a little while longer,
Yeah.
a couple years anyway, because he won 8 and then he retired. And then of course Russell. I believe Sharman retired before Cousy even did, because he was the leading scorer on some of these early teams. He was the go-to scorer when Cousy before Russell got there even. But yeah, I guess I don't know. I think there's a. I think Wade has a case. I think his case is pretty extreme. I don't think there's. I don't buy into the Drew would beat him in 1-on-1. But I do.
I mean, I'm a inch or 2 taller, and I got another 20 pounds.
I don't
on
think
me.
he's 6'1", to be honest, either. But I don't know.
Yeah,
That's just an opinion.
I don't know. I really don't.
I mean, I watch his game footage, and I'm not impressed by any stretch of the imagination. It's not, impressive in any way, shape, or form to me. And I don't think he translates to every era of basketball, Ray. I think that's, yeah. I mean, we talked about Mikan, so, I mean, I guess I can understand these two at least put Mikan on their list, but we talk about Mikan being, he won a fuck ton of championships, had better stats than Cousy, and was this revolutionary player. But we still said, but he's not going to translate, so it doesn't matter. I think Cousy's the same exact thing.
I think there is a case for Cousy not translating. I think in order to see Cousy translating, you have to do what we did. What episode was it? Was it the West episode or the Baylor? I don't remember what episode it was. But we talked about giving them modern day things and acting like they grew up in this era. Because I guess the way I if I was going to look at that, I would look at it this way. It would be he was the best ball handler the world had ever seen at that point in time, and was by far and away the best assist man they had ever seen. So if we gave him a bunch of advantages that he didn't have, would he not have worked on that and been an even better dribbler and a better passer? I mean, again, we're all just sitting here going, maybe, what if? I don't know. But it was something we'd brought up in a past episode. I do think the Mike comparison is fair, other than he played like half the amount of games in his career as Bob Cousy. But Mikan had a case. I think we kind of ended that case with he was really, really important, but was he good enough? Or I don't know. Wade worded it really well at the end of the episode. I can't remember exactly what.
Something about he was
It's one
one
of the
of the most influential players of all time. Maybe not one of the best.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I get your point, but you're talking about him being one of the best ball handlers and passers that the world had seen at that point.
Yeah.
Mikan was the best player in the world, and we didn't give him the nudge like, oh, well, he would have got more athletic and gotten better later on. He wasn't just the greatest the world had ever seen at part of the game. He was the best player in the world, and we didn't give him any advantages. I mean, we made fun of Dolph Shays the way he shot for like 30 minutes. We didn't talk. I mean,
It was pretty funny.
I mean, I tried bringing up that he would shoot differently if he came up later, and I got told, no, we can't do that. So, I don't know. we're a little all over the map with this.
Well, I don't disagree. I mean, like I said, I think the Mike and Cousy comparison holds merit. You know, and we have evolved some of our arguments over the course of this podcast. I mean, Dolph Shays was what, 7 or 8 episode?
Yeah, it was pretty early.
Something like that. You know, we're 30-some episodes in. We have brought up and thought of different ways of looking at things. I don't know that, you know, any of it's the end-all, be-all. I mean, I did make fun of Dolph Shays' jump shot or lack of jump, whatever you call it, push shot or whatever it is.
The way he shot was what everybody talked about.
All those things. I did, you know, I was a heavy part of that. And I'm not a huge proponent of this era anyway, which also is a huge surprise for me for Ray, because Ray's bashed on players I thought were much better than Bob Cousy, and he bashed on them and then was like, Cousy could play in any era. And he's like number 11.
No Jerry West, but Cousy's 11.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't know. The fact that Cousy had good vision, good ball handler, big hands, I think helps him translate. I don't know about the speed and his size. I'm not sure that he was 6'1". Physical size. I don't know that he would dominate today. You know, he's not going to be, you know, a Magic Johnson but I really do think he could at least play. But again, I've always kind of given some credit to the old guys and try to give them. Maybe they wouldn't be as great today, but the fact that they could play today, I think we need to at least take a look at them. And the accolades now, the one thing I did worry about, you know, having 6 NBA championships, you'd think he'd be higher on my list. But I also took a look at who he was playing with. The fact that it was Russell, he didn't win any without Russell. And nowadays we do put we look at that a lot. I mean, you look at Kobe's legacy. If he hadn't won without Shaq, people would not look at him the same as they do now.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one reason why I have him lower than you and Drew do probably. And you know me, down there at 9 and 10 on my list is usually an old guy.
Well, I don't disagree with that. I mean, if I thought he was the best player on 6 championship teams, that would completely alter probably the way I looked at him. But I don't view him as the best player on any of them.
Right.
I think he's probably the second best player on 6 championship teams. He's probably, you know, I get for all intents and purposes, Scottie Pippen in that situation. Which I know Ray also has ridiculous.
Like at 8? Is it 8, Ray?
No, 9.
Nine. So, so yeah, I see what I mean. The 6 championships are really cool, but he is not the best player on 6 championship teams, right? Because I don't think he would be, even though it is an era thing. If he was the best player on 6 championship teams, he would be higher on my list.
Yeah, mine too.
He'd be higher on everyone's list.
And Russell would be lower on my list.
Right. Yeah.
Russell.
Because Russell is higher on my list than Cousy, which I think all of it. He is in all of ours.
I think
he
Russell
made Wade's list, so that's
what?
Russell made your list.
I think Russell's is he our highest Celtic on?
I mean, Russell's in my top 25, even though I hate this era of basketball.
I mean, I don't know where Russell's at on my list, but he's.
I mean, he is my number 25.
He's my number 25
Which,
as well.
you and me, people are going to freak out when they listen to this. Bill Russell's number 25, but yeah.
I'm sorry, but there's like 40 Bill Russells in the NBA now.
He's 8 on mine.
Yeah, he's 10 on mine. So, yeah. This side of the room against that side of the room that night.
I have Bill Russell at 5.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You like the old Celtics, Ray. You like him. Except Havlicek.
No, I say he hated Havlicek. He's like, Havlicek couldn't play. I don't know what you're talking about.
Sometimes players just catch my eye, and I just have to go with it.
So let's go to Ray here. Ray, you're the guy that has him Like, not just a little bit higher, way higher than everybody else. You've heard pretty much what most of us are saying. Wade's like, he fucking sucks. He's garbage. The rest of us kind of heat and hauled around. I think you've got to be the other side of Wade at this point. Like, like
He's fantastic. The greatest.
He's the greatest point guard I've ever seen outside of Magic Johnson. That's what we need to be saying.
Well, I looked at the film, and I'm just like, this dude built in an era where you just stand there and just kind of lift your arm up and it goes in the basket. I'm like, well, this guy's got something really going for him here because he is just throwing the ball around the house here behind his back, over top of his head and shit. And I'm like, this dude could translate. He is rocking everybody in this era. And it just really impressed me because nobody doing that, anyone, except for the big men who are just dominating everybody for the next 40 years. So for somebody who's that innovative and unorthodox in an era where you're not getting paid shit, and if you want to play in this era, you better listen to the coach and do what he says. I mean, this dude's taking heavy risks playing the way he is and dominating, I think, whoever he comes across. I mean, it really caught my eye, and that's where I'm at with my thought.
Okay, so I get what. No, I mean, I don't think even Wade will disagree with some of what you said. Like, he was the best point guard of this era. You don't disagree with that, do you, Wade?
No.
No, I mean, he dominated an era at the point guard position. Like, I think you're factually correct on that, Ray. But I guess to be more specific, why is he ahead of some of the guys we have at 2 and 3? Like Isaiah Thomas's and
Oscar Robinson,
Steph
Curry,
and Stockton,
your boy Steph Curry.
Why do you think Curry is better than those guys?
Cousy.
You said
Oh,
Curry.
Curry.
I'm sorry. You I had Curry on the brain after you said it.
Curry.
I apologize.
Curry.
Why do you think Cousy is better than those guys?
Well, comparing to Steph Curry,
One can
For
shoot
the-
the ball, one can't.
for the first 8 years of Curry's career, he couldn't do anything but shoot the ball. I didn't see him do anything but turn the ball over and brick layups all night long. So, I don't know.
I don't know if that's true, Ray. I think
I've seen a lot of games
I think
where-
for the first 4 years of his career, he rode the bench because he was hurt. But go on.
Okay, well then the next 4 years he was bricking layups and couldn't do anything but shoot the ball. I mean, you give the man 40 shots, he's gonna make 30 points.
Anyway,
Okay,
what
and
about the rest
then-
of these guys?
And then Isaiah Thomas, I just think he's just a little overhyped. I mean, he's on my list, but
Who'd you say again? I'm sorry.
Isaiah Thomas. I mean, he's a good point guard. I've got him on my list, but I don't think he's just a standard point guard who's above average on Isaiah Thomas.
Okay.
Who's the next player?
We did Oscar.
Oscar Robinson, yeah.
Oscar- where I got
He
that
also
from?
made your list.
Like Oscar and John Stockton are probably the other ones that are near the top of everyone's list.
I just okay, compared to Oscar, I think the innovative factor of Bob Cousy and his play style probably boosted him up, plus the championships. That's where I got him at then.
Okay.
So
Fair enough. I mean, Oscar was playing in the same time period, so
Right.
there's a little bit more apples comparison there than the guys we're talking about that played in the 80s and 90s and 2000s.
While you were discussing that, I looked up the assist leaders from the beginning of the NBA. The first guy, 46-47, was a guy named Ernie Calverley from the Providence Steamrollers. Never heard of them. 3.4 assists per game. Led the league.
wow.
The next year, Howie Dalmar from Philadelphia Warriors, 2.5 assists. Led the league. Then Bob Davies, 5.35. Dick McGuire, 5.68.
Oh dear.
Andy Phillips for a couple years. Andy actually did 6.27 and 8.2. And that was the year before Cousy came in. So he was a guard forward for Philadelphia. But, yeah, 8.2 assists. And then Cousy comes in with 7, 7, 7, 8, so on, up until 60-61 when Oscar came in and 59-60, Cousy had 9.5. 60-61, Oscar had 9.7. And then the next season, Oscar averaged 11.4. And then some guy named Guy Rogers the year after that with 10.4. And then back to Oscar at basically 11, and Oscar again and again.
So was
then that Guy Rogers comes in again. He played for the Bulls. Him, I don't know.
I don't know Guy Rogers. So was Cousy leading the league? Was it like 8 years in a row? You guys said.
Yeah.
Yes.
Was he was he averaging between like 6 and 9 assists around that time?
And during that, his lowest was 7.1, and his
So
highest
7.
was 9.5.
So between
Yeah.
7 and 9, and
Yeah.
led the league for 8 years in a row.
Yeah.
So that website you were talking about, what's his career assist average? Like
7.5.
7.5, yeah.
So if you take away those possessions, what do you think he goes down to?
Probably 5.
5.
Probably.
And he shot 37% from the field, correct?
37. Yep.
That's a point guard.
Yeah, the one you hate shoots like 50% from the field, not 37.
But he can't get an assist to save his life.
Well, I will say this, David. I just about to say David West. Jerry West led the NBA in assists one year.
Which one?
Jerry West.
Jerry West. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So did Will Chamberlain.
That is true.
Wilt still.
But
Yeah, Jerry averaged 9.7 the year he did it, and Wilt averaged 8.6 the year he did it.
Wilt couldn't put his ego aside. Just,
That's all Wilt was a giant ego, I think.
Yeah, probably. I mean, according to him in those interviews, he can bench press like 600 pounds.
oh, yeah.
You can look it up on YouTube. He's on like Letterman and like a couple does a couple interviews and like late night shows, and he claims he can bench like 600 pounds.
He also said he had
Okay.
sex with like 20,000 women
Yeah.
and like all sorts of like ridiculous things he's
Which, I
claimed.
mean, I'm sure he's a strong guy, but 600 pounds is a lot of weight.
Yeah. Especially
That's
for
like-
how long his arms are.
That's like more than like what Gary could do, and he's a professional powerlifter.
Right.
Like, Jesus Christ.
I know how hard it is to lift with longer arms. I can't
Yeah.
imagine it like at 7 foot.
Yeah, he's like, his arms are longer than yours.
Well, here's the thing with Wilt is when he was like in his prime, he was really skinny.
he was
Yeah.
very skinny.
And then when he got older, he put on a bunch of weight. But then you're older now.
But he
so
still
like,
doesn't even look muscular. He just looks husky.
Right.
He's,
Yeah.
It's not like a defined.
He doesn't look like Dwight Howard. He's not cut.
Very
No,
good point.
right.
Yes, he just looks like Jokic,
Yeah.
just flabby. he's just a flabby guy. Like even like him and like it's like an older version of him and a very young version of Jabbar go at it. I watched this big thing on YouTube about it. Like even Jabbar, even though he's skinny, is like ripped and like there's some muscle there, even though it probably needed to pack on a little more. Wilt is just this big, large, flabby beast just throwing himself around. Like and he gets very mad when Jabbar comes in because Jabbar kicks his ass.
Oh, yeah.
And he doesn't like it. He doesn't like getting his shot blocked, and he doesn't like someone who can drop 40 on him whenever he wants. And, yeah. Sorry, we're talking about Wilt and Jabbar, but,
hey, it's almost the same era.
yeah.
Wilt would have been around at least the end of.
I wonder if
Cousy's
that
career.
one guy that from Philadelphia, that guard forward that led the league in assists, I wonder if that wasn't when Wilt was. When did Wilt come in?
I don't know. That's a good question.
'Cause,
It would
I
have
mean-
been around the same time as Russell.
Right, and so it was. I'm wondering if that's not why that guy won the assist title. He was just
Well-
lobbing the ball into Wilt.
There's also a bit of a trick with back in the. I was going to say this for Oscar Robinson, but I think that's going to be a ways down the road. With assists back then, you often didn't get credit for an assist unless it led to a layup. So,
Yeah.
actually, so if you passed the ball to someone who just shot a jump shot, you often didn't get an assist. So, like, when people try and say, like, Oscar's triple-double, they had all that extra possessions, which is true for your points and rebounds. But for your assists back then were much harder to get than they are in
Okay.
the future.
Not
And
ju-
I'm sure that factored into Bob Cousy and other players as well.
I was going to bring that up here in a minute. How it was harder to get an assist in this day than it was, especially now. Now they've made the assist rules extreme.
Yeah.
You see a guy that like throws the ball to somebody, they pump fake, dribble the ball twice and shoot, and they're like assist. And like that was never going to happen. And
Yeah,
that wasn't going to happen when I was a kid. More or less when
Right.
these
you
guys
get 2
were
dribbles
playing.
now, and it still counts as an assist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's getting a bit extreme.
And it that's the other thing is like this Celtics team, like when Cousy was running things in Boston, we are talking about the fastest team in the history of basketball. 136 possessions a game.
Compared to like 80 some in the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that Jordan was doing.
Yeah, like Jordan's Bulls were like in the 80s. And we're talking about 136 possessions a game.
Over 50 extra possessions in a game. And back then they're shooting 35%. That's a lot of rebounds.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why they shot 35% is because you had to just chuck up the first opportunity you had.
And that's why centers average 25 rebounds a game.
Yeah,
because
it's
there's
true,
an
too.
extra 30, 40 rebounds a game out there to grab.
Yeah.
Like, did you? I don't know how much a video you guys watched of Cousy before we did this, but like, there's just plays where he literally walks into a one-legged jump shot, like deep, like it would probably be a 3 in today's NBA, where he's just running up the court and doesn't even fully stop to shoot, just off one leg as he's running. Cash money. Let's go back the other way and run fast as you can the other way. Like it was. I was just like, the first thing that came to mind was, dude, you were trying to go so fast that you couldn't stop to shoot a correct shot.
Yeah.
But the second thing that came to me was, I think today was the first time maybe I just wasn't paying attention before, or maybe I didn't watch enough tape because I just discredited this era so much, but Cousy shot from deep. And I don't ever remember that over the course of my life. Like, we're thinking, oh, Cousy could shoot. Now, obviously, we have no idea. There's no three-point line, and obviously they don't keep track of three-point percentage because of that. So I have no idea what, he would have shot from something like that, but he was shooting them. I don't know. I mean, he was a pretty good free throw shooter. He shot over 80% from the free throw line in his career, which is what they use today from college players to see if they could shoot threes, is how good you shoot from the free throw line. They say if your muscle memory is good enough to do that, your muscle memory is good enough to do it from 3. So I don't doubt that he could have shot threes in an era where there was threes. But back to my original point, like, I can't imagine even wanting to play the game that fast.
This
Like,
doesn't sound fun.
Did you ever watch Loyola Marymount play when Hank Gathers and them were there?
Yeah.
That's probably what it was like. I mean, if Loyola, when they played, their coach had a time limit. They had so many seconds to shoot the ball, and that was their goal. They were unbelievably fast.
Well, let's
down the
put-
floor.
let's-
I'd like to know what the possessions were.
I'll put it to you this way. I have something similar to say. The 7 seconds or less D'Antoni Suns with Steve Nash
Right.
were at 120.
Okay.
So we're still 16 possessions short
Yeah.
with this Cousy ran Celtics team. So that's what I'm saying. Like, those Suns teams were flying up and down the floor.
Yep.
I mean, we've also, Drew, you might have been a little young for those Nash Suns teams, but
Yeah.
the rest of us watched those teams play. They were smoking up and down the floor, and you're still 16 possessions short of how this team is. Like, it's hard to picture in your head.
Right, yeah. Yeah, that's why I was talking about Loyola. I was trying to think of something that I had seen where people shot that fast.
Yeah.
Of course, Loyola routinely put up, 120, 30, 40, 150
Well, I'm
points.
also not trying to sound mean because I really don't. I think it's a tragic incident, but their best player had a heart attack and died on the floor.
Right, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not blaming anything on anything. I'm just saying, like, maybe that had something to do with it. Like,
Yeah, they were interesting to watch if you like scoring.
well, I mean, if you're interested in hearing that, watch the 30 for 30 on it because it's really interesting.
Mhm.
Have you watched it?
Yeah, I can know which one.
Have you guys watched the Hank Gathers 30 for 30?
I have not. No.
No.
I have it if you guys want to borrow it. It's really good. But yeah, it's what he's talking about. And then Hank Gathers is averaging like 25 and 12 or something, and getting ready to go into the draft, like right before the draft, and is running up the floor and just falls over dead.
Mm.
Yeah. So
That's crazy.
anyway, we again bounced in a crazy
I
direction.
couldn't find how many possessions they averaged a game, but they averaged 122.4 points per game.
I wonder what these Celtics teams averaged a game. Like, point-wise, I mean. Not... Because they shot terrible, so I'm going to assume that some of these teams we're talking about probably average more points than them.
Yeah.
But I don't know. They averaged 116 points a game in 58-59, which would have been like their third straight title. So they averaged 116 points a game that year.
I didn't realize that. I mean, I didn't think about teams back then scoring that many points.
Well, I mean, essentially, Cousy and Paul Arizin, according to Paul Arizin, came up with the reason that Mikan couldn't play anymore.
Yeah.
Like, we're just going to start running up and down the floor, and Mikan can't play.
Right. He couldn't get it. Yeah.
Yeah,
His
he
legs
couldn't
wouldn't take it.
So, I mean, at least part of this was to try and get a dominant force to not be able to play with them.
Right.
I mean, but, I mean, again, that's hard to imagine. Like, hey, we're just going to run fast up and down the floor, and the best player in the league can't play no more? Like, at what other point in time did that work? I mean, even the Showtime Lakers were able to get Jabbar to work even when he was an old man.
Right.
You know,
When they
like,
couldn't get a fast break, Magic just waited for
Yeah.
Jabbar to come running by.
Yeah, that's right.
Me
He
and Dad
was,
watched
he
the
was
old
the
Lakers
set
days.
offense.
Because Magic be sitting at half court. Here comes Kareem slowly.
Here comes the
coming down.
captain.
By the way, something else that caught me as very, very odd in Cousy's career is he retired in 63 and set out for 6 seasons and then comes back.
Yeah, I saw
Like
that.
Sacramento.
Right, and he
Cincinnati,
wasn't he
yeah.
Cincinnati, yeah.
Yeah.
wasn't he running the team?
Yes.
I don't know.
Right. And how many games did he play that year?
Only 7.
Yeah.
But
But I saw that as like
7.
retired. Plays again.
Came back and played 7 games.
Do they not have enough people?
he played 5 minutes a game for 7 games.
What the fuck's the point of that?
I don't know what that was all about.
Did
I
he
said
just
he was
miss it?
running the team.
Is he the Tim Tebow of the NBA?
I don't know.
Tim Tebow got cut.
Yeah, he just
But
he took 8 years off and then came back.
But he okay, so I read a little bit about this. He was retired, obviously, for 6 seasons, and the owner of Cincinnati came to him and was like, "Hey, we want you to coach our basketball team." And Cousy was like, "Go to hell, man! I don't want to coach. I don't want to deal with these guys. Like, I don't want to do it." And coaches were making like $20,000 a year at this point, and in order to get Cousy to come coach, he gave him a annual salary of $100,000.
Oh my god.
And so Cousy came to coach. And he would get so furious with the way the point guard was running it. One night he decided to check himself into a basketball game. And he was the player coach for all of 7 games.
What were his stats? Do you have those?
Yeah, 0.7 points per game, 0.7 rebounds per game, 1.4 assists per game on 33% shooting.
He definitely showed that point guard what's up.
But he shot 100% from the free throw line.
No.
Yeah.
I did that at Canton High once.
I almost went perfect in the game. I shot 15 of 16.
I was tied for the all-time lead in free throw percentage in Canton R5 once. I was like 4 for 4 over a 3-year spread. I fucking missed one my senior year. True story.
That's
I
great.
was almost a record holder, Drew.
I think there's a minimum on shit like that.
Not in high school, Alex. That's not how it works. I mean, did I get kicked off the team once or twice? Yeah. Did I get mad and quit once? Yeah.
Wait, why don't you tell
Did
me
I almost
this
hold a
before-
record? Yes.
That's all that matters.
Why didn't you tell me this before my freshman year, so I could have done something for like threes?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he could have. I mean, I don't know. Greatness has a shelf life, Alex.
That's true. That's true. Very true.
Mine was 4 free throws. Oh god.
I mean, honestly, this is funny. Just talking about free throws and Bob Cousy. When I think Bob Cousy, what originally comes to my mind is him making 1 billion free throws in a row and that scene in Blue Chips.
Yeah, he's like the athletic.
He's the athletic director in Blue Chips, and he's talking to Nick Nolte.
Nick Nolte again.
Yeah, that's right.
Our guy.
Yeah.
And he's just, of course, he's shooting them granny style like he did when he was a player, and he's just free swoosh, 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 and like he just starts, and like Nick Nolte's like, "Do you ever miss?" And he like laughs and walks off. And then I read just the other day while I was researching for this episode that he did that on his own. Like, they never asked Cousy to start shooting free throws for the movie. He just started shooting free throws, and Nick Nolte started throwing them back to him. And then Nick Nolte actually said, "Do you ever miss?" It was all at that point. It was all ad-libbed. Like,
Cool.
I don't know how old Cousy was during that movie, but he had to be old as shit.
Oh yeah, because
He's like 93 now or something crazy.
right. Yeah.
I mean, not
And that movie was quite a while ago.
It was
90s?
96
Well, it had
or something.
So that's still
Right.
like
I
mean, it had
60s
Penny
or
and
something.
Shaq and
Yeah, Penny and Shaq
There was
were
a
in
bunch
it.
When
of
they were
people players
young.
that played for
Yeah,
their
Rick
teams,
Fox
too.
was in it.
Yeah.
and-
Oh yeah.
Rick Fox is everywhere. Rick Fox was also in the Jesus Shuttlesworth movie.
Oh,
He's
he
just
got
everywhere.
game.
Yeah, because he's the one that shows them around that college, and they shows them some explicit things. Yeah,
This is an explicit podcast.
that's true.
Well, Rick Fox was also Bernadette's ex-boyfriend from The Big Bang Theory.
That's
It's
true.
That is
True.
true. That is also
Rick,
true.
Rick Fox is in it?
Really?
Yeah, so like it's like one episode. Howard gets mad about it. He doesn't like it. Howard. He assumes he has a big wiener.
Well, I'm not gonna lie to you though. If some dude that was like 6'8", professional NBA player came in and started hitting on my girl right in front of me, it would probably be a little emasculating.
I'd probably just be like, you know what? You can have Emma. I'll get a different one.
Well, the nice thing is Emma doesn't listen to our podcast, so
Yeah. Just be like, there's more fish in the sea. Rick Fox, you got one. There you go. I'm coming back. Then I just go get Emma's twin. Go with that.
oh my.
Please.
Oh, man.
too.
I'm going to listen to an episode. How about the Bob Cousy?
Like play it in like a family event.
Oh my God, Wade! I can't believe you say that on air.
Tell your sister.
Oh God.
Oh man.
Well, I will say this, Wade. I will not tell your wife this. And my wife also doesn't listen, so you're good.
You're good.
Yeah, you're good. My mom doesn't listen.
Yeah. I'll fucking tell her about it. I don't care. 'Cause she always asks what we talk about. I can tell her this time. You. No. I'm like, well, you got fucked by Rick Fox in this imaginary situation. And then I end up plowing your sister, and it's a mess.
We're gonna earn our explicit rating in this episode. Oh, boy.
Is it closing statements?
I think it's closing statements.
I think we lost
This is
control.
way farther than I've ever taken anything with the triple single Iguodala.
Yeah, that was a mess too.
Right.
Then we were wrong and had to redo the whole
Yeah,
thing.
do it over.
It was funny, though.
It was.
It was.
Very funny.
All right, so let's go to our closing statements for old Bob Cousy. Ray, what you got for us, bud?
He
Sorry, Emma just texted me.
he just really caught my eye with his unorthodox play, and I just think he deserved to be on my list.
All right, so I guess that leads us to Drew.
Well, I think obviously the 6 titles, even though he's on the Celtics, he was the second best player on it. He wasn't someone who just was there for all 11 years and didn't do anything. I think he also translates to other eras of basketball. Maybe not as a superstar, but I think he could definitely play in other eras.
All right. That's me now. Yeah, the championships played a role in this. His innovation of the point guard position played a role. And, you know, some of the other things, his accolades are nice. And, you know, he led the NBA in assists 8 straight years. And when it comes to point guards, assists are obviously important, at least for me. Maybe not in the current NBA. But, yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. I did give a fair amount of thought to, kind of Wade's point. I thought Wade would go more home with him not translating, and that was my big flaw with Cousy, wondering if he would translate. So that's why he's at 8 on my point guard list, and 38 on my overall list was questions about translation and things like that. So, yeah, that's my closing statement. Uncle Doug?
Yeah, mine's pretty similar to yours. I have him at 43 and 10, and I, as you guys know by now, I tend to put old guys on the 10th spot to give them some credit. I did wonder about the translation, but I felt like with all the accolades and the way he affected or the way he started the point guards, he deserved to be there.
And Wade.
Well, did I not say I don't think he can translate? I thought that was the majority of my point.
You kind of mentioned it to Ray at one point, but I thought most of your argument was he sucked.
Well, I mean, like when I was talking about like watching him playing, like when I said, "Oh yeah," I mean, I admit he was really good in the time he played, but Drew could beat him. That means he can't translate. I mean, I thought that was kind of implied, but yeah. In all seriousness, I mean, he was the first great point guard. I'll admit that. I mean, I admitted that with Mikan. He probably did play a certain. And he was an important player, obviously, when you're a pioneer of something. So as far as that, there's no taking that away from him. He was a good player when he played. But, yeah, I wasn't overly impressed with his weird over-the-head shots around the rim. I thought that'd get thrown in the second row by Russell Westbrook. I just don't find him translating in any way, shape, or form with any of it. Yeah, I've already said it all. You got it.
All right. And that will end our Bob Cousy portion of today's episode, and will move us into trivia. Who would like to go first?
I'm ready.
Drew's always ready.
I'm always ready. The question, I may not have the question ready to go when I walk in, but I'm ready when trivia starts.
All right. Well, let's see what you got, buddy.
What was the first season that the shot clock was introduced?
Oh. I'll give you a hint, Drew. I don't know.
Well, that's good.
Wow. Crap. By the way, did you guys see that they're introducing a high school shot clock in Iowa?
Yeah, I did see that.
I kind of like that, actually.
I really like it, actually.
So isn't it like 35 seconds?
Yeah, I think
like
35 seconds.
That's it. I was just going to say, as long as they don't put it too low, because then that'll kind of mess things up. But as long as they have plenty of time to...
I think it's important for kids to learn how to play with a shot clock. And it makes games more exciting.
You can watch some high school games, and a team gets a decent, a little lead with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and they'll hang on to the ball.
Oh yeah,
They'll just dribble around until you foul them or something.
Yep.
And that's not basketball. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But anyway.
All right, I got to guess.
Is everyone ready?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's say
71.
I said 58.
I said 52.
Said 73.
the 54-55 season.
We were close, Uncle Doug. Right between us.
Yeah, I knew it was Mikan. They brought it in
did it
because of
Mike.
Mike.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, good call.
Yeah.
The Syracuse coach was the one that was a big leader of it.
Because it wasn't there that weird game where it was like 13-11 or something.
Right, yeah. Some just.
Because
Well, the other team
just
would
kept
not.
the ball away.
They kept
from
the
Mike
ball
and-
away from Mike. And,
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good call. I forgot about that.
Yeah. 'Cause I think Uncle Doug talked about it in that episode.
All right. Who would like to go next?
I got one.
All right.
All right. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Who was the first high school basketball player to come straight to the NBA and be the number 1 overall draft pick?
Ooh, number 1 pick.
Number 1 overall out of high school.
All right. I got to guess.
I got an obscure guess.
I'm just gonna warn you. It's crazy.
Okay.
Okay.
Everybody got one?
Yeah.
All right. What we got?
Moses Malone.
Okay.
I said Kwame Brown.
Okay.
Said Garnett.
Okay.
I also say Garnett.
It is the all-time great Kwame Brown.
Yeah.
Yes.
You said that?
Yep. Uncle Doug got it. Yes.
All right.
Oh, that was very interesting because no one thinks of that one.
No.
Like you always think of like, like the one, oh, he was more than stunk. He was, no one ever thinks of Kwame coming out of high school.
Right.
That's probably honestly why he was so underdeveloped and
Yeah.
failed in the NBA.
He wasn't ready for the NBA.
Well,
He had talent.
failed as a number 1 overall pick. He had like a 11-year NBA career.
Right.
Yeah. But his career high was like 7 points, but
He
Not the
needed
point,
to
but-
develop someplace else.
and I guess
you know.
his entire mental state got ruined by Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
He claims that Michael Jordan ruined him mentally because Michael Jordan just talks shit to him all day, every day at Wizards practice.
Well, some people are mentally weak. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, Jordan was kind of an asshole too.
Yeah.
He could be.
Ask Steve Kerr.
All right. Who would like to go next?
I'll go.
Okay.
Only 3 players have had more than 1,000 assists in a season. Name all 3.
All right. I have my answer.
I got mine.
I'm ready.
Willard.
Got it.
All right. I got Magic, Isaiah, and Stockton.
I had the same exact thing.
I said Magic, Stockton, and Westbrook.
I have Cousy, Johnson, Stockton.
All right.
I have the same as Alex.
Okay. The correct answer is John Stockton, who's had it 7 times, Isaiah Thomas, and Kevin Porter.
Oh.
Magic Johnson has like the highest assists per game average in NBA history. How did he not get 1,000 assists? Poop.
Yeah, I thought Magic was my easiest guess.
I thought him and Stockton were like automatic.
Yeah.
I did too.
I knew, but I did know Isaiah Thomas had like one super big assist season.
Mm-hmm.
He had one that was like higher than all the where he averaged like 14 or something crazy.
And Kevin Porter was a pretty good point guard. I didn't realize he was that good.
I mean, Scott Skiles once got like 20 something a game.
Yeah.
That's true. I think it's still the record.
Yeah, I believe you're right.
All right, well, I guess that leads to me. Sticking with the assist theme, we know who the number 1 assist average is in the NBA. Who was the ABA's number 1 assist average all time?
Well. The damn ABA.
The one with the average or the average in general?
His career average.
So am I naming the player or the average?
The player.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you the average later, but it's kind of interesting.
I don't know.
Yeah, I just put a name down.
You'll know the player.
Of course.
I cannot think right now.
All right, I got my answer.
Tricky.
I don't know.
All right.
Is that everybody?
Yeah.
Lucas.
Yeah.
How about McGinnis?
Dr. J.
I also went with George McGinnis.
Actually, it was Larry Brown.
Larry
Oh.
Brown.
Interesting.
And the average is 6.67,
All right.
which puts him 36th on the NBA list. So what was the ABA doing? Were they not
Isolation scoring.
Yeah.
I'll say they're not passing the ball.
Street ball.
Yeah.
All right. So that leads us to me.
Are you the last one?
Yeah.
Really? Oh, okay.
So
Into your lead, Wade.
we mentioned that Bob Cousy came back and coached the Cincinnati franchise. That franchise still exists. It just is not in Cincinnati. Who is it?
Who the fuck knows?
All right, I got to guess.
Cincinnati Celtics. I don't know.
No, the Celtics are one of the only.
Yeah,
them
I
and
know.
another franchise is the only one that was never moved. Since the beginning.
Christ.
Saw that on
Okay,
TikTok.
thanks. Cincinnati.
TikTok, man.
Cincinnati.
All right, I got to guess.
Is that everybody?
Yep. I got one.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see what you got.
I'm saying Sacramento Kings.
Cavaliers.
But Grizzlies.
The correct answer is the Sacramento Kings.
Ah, damn.
Yep.
They were the Cincinnati Royals, and then they were the Kansas City
City.
Royals, and
Yeah.
then they became the Kings, and then they moved somewhere else, and they moved to Sacramento. They were somewhere else between Kansas City and Sacramento too.
Yeah.
Rochester, or I don't know.
They were in there someplace, yeah. But I thought the Royals became the Kings, so. Told you I was cutting in on you, Wade.
Yeah, you are.
I think he just passed me.
Yeah, you passed Drew for second, I believe.
Yeah. So only 2 points were given out this week, and they're both to Uncle Doug.
It's a good week.
So after last week where nobody scored a single point, only one person scored this week. So we improved, but we still suck. And the tallies are as follows. Ray with 17, Alex with 34, Drew with 35, Doug with 36, and Wade with 46. And Wade's lead was cut in two by one this week. But he still has a 10-point lead, so I think he's all right.
We're coming for you, Wade.
We'll see.
All right. Well, we appreciate your listen to the Bob Cousy episode. And please tune in next week for our Stephen Curry episode. If you didn't get a little bit of a preview of that argument earlier today with Ray, who is the guy that left Curry off his list. And we will have a special guest star for the Steph Curry episode. So tune in for that. And thanks for listening to Sports the Nemo Way.